Nigerians have been reacting to Vice President Kashim Shettima's visit to Plateau State to condole the victims of the recent killings in 17 communities by terrorists. The Vice President, who was representing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was at Boko's, Bakin, Ladi, and parts of Mangu local government areas where the terrorists killed over 100 people and displaced many residents. Shetima assured the victims that the killings in the state must stop, adding that Tinubu will not relent in ensuring that the affected communities get justice and residents are safe. Well, Dr. Bati Rufai ayo this visit as it came at the right time. I applaud the Vice President for going out there at the time that he did. But of course, a lot of Nigerians are asking, why is it that this is the same rhetoric that we get? Every time we see these things happen, the government officials go out there. But I want to insist that this is a new administration, and I'm hoping that it's going to be different. One of the comments that we got online was the fact that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has not visited. He is the head of the family at this point. When your child dies, you go and condole with that, with the family and bury your children properly, correct? Everywhere, across the world, if an incident like this occurs, the first person that you'll see out there is the president. Rufai, I know you did make that comment, and yes. I'd like to align with you because we want this not to be the same type of situation that we've been hearing for years. And also the fact that the governor of Plateau State, which I'll take as well, he did attend that jollificating visit, like you mentioned yesterday, with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He actually attended the party at the same time. It is not the right optics that we see here. I mean, that is the picture that was circulating, and he did come under fire. Let me take a DEC tweet before I come to you, Rufai. DEC wrote, #Plateau Massacre. The governors did not find it fit or right to visit Boko's in Plateau State, where over 120 people were killed and families thrown into grieving, but found it good to converge in Lagos and visit Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who mean well for Nigerians. Of course, I'm sure he does mean well, but you see how upset people are.
So, you see, and I made an explanation earlier on, and I say, you see, it comes from a place of mental hitherto torture. A lot of Nigerians have been tortured mentally without knowing. We come from a long line at first of colonialists. No, let me even chart a historiography. We come from a long line of culture where leaders are not to be challenged. In Yoruba culture, what do we call a king? We say Kabiyesi. What it means is nobody dares ask you anything. So then afterwards, after the British came and the amalgamation, they came late 1800s. I mean, okay, they came late 1800s when Kosoko and Akitoye, that was their en route amalgamation, first amalgamation 1906, proper amalgamation 1914, Northern Southern Protectorate. The colonialists now became the next Kabiyesi that we couldn't ask them anything. You know, the likes of Lugard became a brute and a terrible human being. Then it now cascaded into the first set of freedom fighters. When they finally got the power and became leader, they now became the first set of Kabiyesi. Then we had corruption, we had many things. I don't want to mention leaders of those days. Then we had the military incursion. Then we're now back to civilian. So it has always been a Kabiyesi. So we are not known to hold our leaders accountable. So when we hold them accountable, it's not cultural. Because everybody goes to leaders for benefits, for what you carry on for Christmas and all of that. But it doesn't make it right. The first person that should have been there is the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He swore by it.
Absolutely.
To defend his people, to defend the Constitution, to defend the rights. He said he's going to defend the Constitution. Doesn't the Constitution say people have freedom of association and movement? The constitutional rights of the people in Bokos were violated. Blood is all of our hands. And what happened? The president was not there to defend the constitutional rights of the people. That's all we are calling for. I just say, Mr. President, do your job. He's so quick to go abroad to look for investors. So are the lives of the people not worth investing? It's the optics. And not visiting, I say kudos to the vice president. A lot of people have made the argument that the president and the vice president is... No, I'm sorry, I don't buy the argument. It's the president people voted for on the ticket.
Yes, absolutely.
He's the head of the ticket. When they returned presidential candidates in the election, they returned Bola Ahmed Tinubu first. Yes, the vice president, yeah, but he's the one they voted for.
Yes.
So please, I think this should be the last time in time of national crisis we're calling our leaders. Some have even further made the argument that the president Buhari go to a war. So I now look at that again. So Buhari has become a standard.
Yeah. No, I mean,
is that the standard we want to set? It's a new administration we expect. It's got to be different. And for Governor Mofwang that is jollificating and all of that, he should be careful. I beg him, he should be careful. What the people of those areas need is love, is peace. They just want to live. These people are poor, Audrey. They are mostly potato farmers. Bokos, mango, and some like potato farmers. Please, let us do what is right. And it's not because we have anything against the president. If the president goes there, we will celebrate him. But it's just what is right. So I understand those that are saying, no, the vice president has got... No. The president must be there. Accountability must start. I know we don't have that culture of accountability. So I excuse dissenting opinion about. We don't have the culture of accountability. Holding government accountable like we're doing our rights is not a Nigerian thing. But we need to start developing it.
Yes, this is different at this point. Ayo.
Yeah, I totally agree with your line of thought, both Rufai and Oji, and the fact that I believe that the president missed a fine moment to demonstrate very strong leadership abilities and leadership skills. When we have incidents like this in other parts of the world, the leader, there's nothing like Christmas. There's nothing like meetings. You suspend everything. And I think it also points to the fact that because of the number of violent attacks in that area and also in other parts of Nigeria, we've become quite desensitized to death tolls. So when we hear 150 people killed, only 150, last year, it's a competition of numbers. Because only earlier this year, in June of this year, the same Bokos local government area, Mangu local, 150 people were killed over 3 weeks this same year.
I love it.
A month afterwards, and by that time, President Tinubu had been sworn in, but let's excuse him. At that time, he had just come into office, so he was just, putting things together. 6 months, 7 months down the line, the same thing happened, despite the promises that were made in July to the governor of the state when the IG of police visited him alongside the commanding officer of Operation Safe Haven from the military. They said they were going to put out, equip the officers, ensure we will not have a repeat of this. What do we have 5 months after that visit? Another attack, and now possibly the numbers will top those numbers. But guess what? Business as usual, governors are still going to meet. It shows that we've become desensitized over the years to death tolls. A small incident, and let me use that word very lightly, happens in other parts of the world. You see Nigerians shouting, I stand with Israel, I stand with Palestine. We are talking about the problems that plague other people. When 7 people are killed by a deranged person in the US, we are talking, it makes headlines on international media. Nigeria follows suit. When 150 people die in our own country, initially we're like, okay, 2 days later, 3 days later, we're not even talking about the fact that VP went to visit. He went 3 days later, so he had spent Christmas with his family, he had gone to Lagos to see the president, and then he went to see the people of Bokos who did not have Christmas. I think this is a big issue, and I'm glad that we're saying it's not business as usual. The previous administration must never be a standard of leadership. That was horrible, it was terrible, it was criticized, and we are hoping for better. And we're saying this now because next time, we want the president to see Nigerians speak out about this so that he will take responsibility. So, I mean, it's happened. But next time, when things happen, he must be at the forefront of showing empathy. He must really, it's not just about statements. He must see the people, visit them, let them see a leader, a true leader in our president.
Absolutely. Dr. Bati, you did make the point earlier.
I have a slightly different opinion.
Let me just say what I was going to say. I said you made the point. I did hear you earlier saying that, the president did send a representative and he sent a vice president was representing the president. I mean, only last month, or is it this month, in Kaduna State, there was that mishap that happened, the bombing. Guess who went there? The vice president. It was the vice president who represented the president. So at this point, we are calling and encouraging the president to visit people, victims in this type of situation. Dr. Bati.
See, I worked in the presidency, so I'm not doing armchair commentary. I have an idea. Now, as citizens, you can be concerned and say, if a man quarrels with his wife, the president, because he's the leader of the country, should show up there to separate them. If there is fire in a market, the president should be the one to carry fire extinguisher and all that. It's fine, because Nigerians will say, oh, we want our president to be in the front. But in the governance process, it doesn't always work like that. It's as follows. People are challenging Governor Mutfwang. There's nothing wrong if there is a crisis in a state for the governor to go and brief the president. A governor can call the president on phone. Depending on the circumstances, he may decide to go physically to go and brief the president. And I kept making the point that when the governors visited the president, one of the issues that they discussed was the crisis in Plateau. And the governor of Plateau was there. He had even said on television that same day, on this same program, that he was going to go and brief the president because they were still collating figures and all that. So that gave him an opportunity to go and brief the president. And it was after that the vice president visited. So those who are challenging Governor Mutfwang, what else do they want him to do? I mean, he's been there, he's visited the people, he said they were going to be responsible for medical care and all of that, and he came to brief the president. I don't have an issue with that. Some people said, oh, those governors you visit. Well, they may still well visit. After all, we have had situations in the past when some governors will go and identify with their colleague in moments of distress. Now, about the president not going, I said, look, it's a joint ticket. And the president under Section 5 has executive powers. He can delegate authority. The vice president going there did not even go alone. He went there to deliver the president's message. Go and check the text of what he told the people. He said, look, President Tinubu asked me to tell you this. The National Security Advisor was there. The Chief of Defense Staff was there. Two former governors of the state, Darie and Lalong, were there. The governor himself was there to identify with the people, to visit the communities. But if people are angry, yes, the only justifiable part of it is that we have been on this matter for decades, since 2009. Yes. People keep getting killed. The only thing we hear is we mourn, we bemoan. We lament. There will be access to justice.
Or the president sends his condolences.
Or the president sends his condolences.
We don't want to hear that anymore.
This is what we have been worrying about. So our concern should not just be about the physical presence of the president. After his visit to Lagos, he can still go there. It doesn't matter. But what matters to someone like me is what difference will it make beyond optics? It's now that Defense Headquarters is saying that the terrain is difficult. How can they say that? Terrain is difficult. So what is the job of Operation Safe Haven there? They said they received 30 distress calls, but they could not move because the terrain is difficult. Which terrain is difficult?
And how were those people able to access the terrain?
The police.
How were they able to access the terrain?
The terrorists could access the terrain.
But the police
the military, the Nigerian military could not access the terrain. Now the police has just woken up. A DIG has been dispatched to the place. Messing after this.
Come on.
And they are saying we will investigate, and after about 150 people have died. So what we want is for the state, Kwa State, to be responsible, to be responsive, to protect the people. It's not about individuals going for photo opportunities, and posing for cameras and just displaying empathy. If that empathy does not translate into concrete action, then we're missing the point.
Yeah, I don't know how terrorists can access the terrain. Well, you know, in the meantime,